In a year when investors were busy celebrating tech stocks and AI giants, something far more ancient, far more primal, quietly erupted beneath the surface. In 2025, gold surged nearly 60%, almost tripling the performance of both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. At first, analysts brushed it off as a typical flight to safety, another inflation hedge, another geopolitical scare. But then, the numbers kept climbing. This wasn't a rally, it was a signal. When an asset that has barely changed in thousands of years suddenly becomes the star of global finance, it means someone, somewhere, has pulled a very big lever. And what almost no one realizes is this. The story behind gold's explosive rise doesn't begin in Wall Street, or Washington, or even London. It begins in a place that has been quietly rewriting the rules of global power: China. In this video, we're going to uncover what's really behind this surge, why the gold system as we know it may be on the brink of collapse, and what you need to do about it. If you want to stay ahead of the shifts shaping our financial future, hit subscribe. This next part matters. Before we can understand why gold's rise in 2025 is so extraordinary, we have to step back and remind ourselves what gold truly is and why humanity has never stopped chasing it. Gold isn't just another commodity on a trading screen. It's one of the rarest materials on Earth, so rare that every ounce ever mined could fit into a cube just 23 meters on each side. A single room, that's all. And unlike almost everything else we value, gold does not rot, corrode, or fade. It survives fire, salt water, time, and even the collapse of civilizations. Empires have come and gone, currencies have risen and fallen, but gold has always remained the same, the one metal that refuses to bend to the will of politics or central banks. It's woven into our language, as good as gold, the golden goose, the golden boy. We use these phrases because, instinctively, we know what gold represents: purity, permanence, trust. But beyond symbolism, gold has a deeper role. It anchors us when the financial world feels unmoored. When paper money is printed without restraint, when inflation eats away at our savings, when governments overreach, people turn to the same solution they've trusted for thousands of years. Gold becomes the final refuge. This is why its surge matters. Gold doesn't spike because of hype. It spikes when something in the system is shifting. And as we move deeper into 2025's story, you'll see that this shift isn't small, it's structural. In the next part, we'll uncover the forces that triggered gold's explosive rise and why they were only the beginning. To understand why gold exploded nearly 60% in 2025, we need to zoom in on the forces everyone could see: the surface-level triggers that analysts rushed to blame. But as you'll soon discover, these were only the first tremors. After 2020, the world entered an era of aggressive money creation, unlike anything in modern history. Central banks weren't just printing money, they were flooding their economies with it. Stimulus packages, emergency spending, quantitative easing layered on top of quantitative easing. The world's supply of currency ballooned at a pace no one could deny. And when you flood a system with dollars, euros, yen, and yuan, something predictable happens. Each unit becomes worth less. Savings erode quietly. Purchasing power slips, and average people feel it long before economists acknowledge it. Central banks felt it too, and they reacted the way they always do when the value of money feels unstable. They started buying gold, not modestly, not cautiously, but in record-breaking quantities. It was the largest wave of official gold accumulation in modern history. But inflation wasn't the only force at play. In 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the United States froze Russia's foreign reserves, essentially cutting off access to hundreds of billions of dollars held in Western financial institutions. Overnight, governments around the world realized something startling. If the geopolitical winds shifted, their reserves, the lifeblood of their national stability, could be frozen too. Trust cracked. Not completely, but enough. And when trust in the financial system weakens, nations turn to the one asset they know cannot be seized with a keystroke: physical gold. Demand soared, supply tightened, prices began their climb. But here's the twist: these obvious triggers weren't the real engine behind gold's parabolic rise. They were just the surface shockwaves. Because underneath all of this, a much bigger shift was already in motion, one driven by a single country, quietly reshaping the global monetary order. And that brings us to China. For decades, the global financial system rested on an unspoken assumption that US dollars and US treasuries were the safest assets on Earth. Nations stored their wealth in them, built their reserves around them, and trusted that no matter how turbulent the world became, the American-led system would protect their capital. But in 2022, that belief cracked. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the United States and its allies froze Russia's foreign reserves held overseas. With a few announcements and a handful of signatures, hundreds of billions of dollars became inaccessible. And while many agreed with the political motivations, the financial implications were seismic. Around the world, governments watched the move and quietly asked themselves a chilling question. If it can happen to Russia, could it happen to us? Suddenly, the US financial system didn't look invincible, it looked controllable by someone else. This single event reshaped the psychology of global reserves. Countries began reassessing what safety really meant. And for many, the answer was not in a currency backed by political decisions, but in an asset immune to them. Nations started buying gold not just to hedge inflation, but to hedge geopolitical vulnerability. Gold can be stored outside the reach of sanctions. Gold doesn't rely on a clearing system. Gold doesn't need permission. Trust in traditional reserves hadn't collapsed, but it had been punctured just enough for governments to start shifting their strategies. And no country was more prepared, more determined, or more strategic in this shift than China. What China did next would become the real engine behind gold's historic surge, and the biggest challenge the Western gold system has ever faced. While the rest of the world reacted to the trust shock of 2022, China was already several moves ahead, executing a strategy that had been quietly taking shape for more than a decade. For over 12 consecutive months, the People's Bank of China bought gold relentlessly, not in small increments, not opportunistically, but with the steady, intentional accumulation of a country preparing for a new financial era. At the same time, China was doing something else, selling US treasuries. In February 2022 alone, it divested over $22.7 billion worth of them, redirecting that capital straight into gold. China was reducing its exposure to the US dollar, piece by piece, month after month. But the real masterstroke wasn't the buying. It was the infrastructure. China created the Shanghai Gold Exchange, SGE, a marketplace built not on paper contracts or leveraged derivatives, but on physical gold, real bars, real delivery, real ownership. This positioned China as the home of the world's largest physical gold market, a direct competitor to the long-standing Western giants, COMEX in New York, LBMA in London. Those Western markets rely heavily on paper gold, financial contracts representing gold that may or may not physically exist. China's SGE flipped the model. Every trade is backed by real metal, and global investors noticed. As gold demand surged, China's exchange began to pull physical gold out of the West like a magnet. Arbitrage opportunities grew, shipments intensified, the West's vaults thinned. What started as China's quiet reserve strategy evolved into a direct challenge to the foundations of the global gold system itself. And this challenge would soon expose a far deeper weakness, one that had been hiding in plain sight for decades. For years, the Western gold market operated on a quiet illusion, an illusion so normal, so widely accepted, that almost no one questioned it. This illusion was paper gold. Paper gold includes ETFs, futures contracts, certificates, financial products that let investors own gold without ever touching a single ounce of metal. On the surface, this system brought convenience, speed, and massive liquidity. But underneath, it relied on a model eerily similar to fractional reserve banking. In other words, there was far more gold on paper than gold that actually existed. Some estimates suggest there may be up to 500 paper ounces for every 1 physical ounce in Western vaults. That imbalance is fine, until people start demanding the real thing. And that's exactly what began happening. As China's physical gold market grew more dominant, investors realized they could buy cheaper paper gold on COMEX or LBMA, demand physical delivery, ship it to Shanghai, and sell it for a higher price. This simple arbitrage trade started draining Western vaults at a historic pace. COMEX and LBMA tried to slow the exodus. Strict delivery notices, minimum withdrawal quantities, storage fees, transportation hurdles, but it didn't matter. The outflow kept accelerating. London's gold stockpiles fell at the fastest rate ever recorded. Physical gold grew scarcer. The price surged, and beneath the surface, a deeper truth emerged. The paper gold system was never built to withstand a global run on physical gold. For decades, the system worked because no one asked for delivery. Now, suddenly, everyone was asking. And that pressure was about to expose cracks that could reshape the gold market for an entire generation. As pressure mounted and physical gold drained from Western vaults, the old guardians of the gold market did what institutions always do when a system they built starts to crack. They tried to patch it. Behind the scenes, whispers grew louder. The US had quietly leased gold from India, a move aimed at boosting reported reserves and reinforcing confidence in the Western gold markets. On paper, it looked like supply was stable. In reality, it was a temporary bandage over a widening fracture. But if this tactic sounded familiar, that's because it was. History had already written this script once before. In 1961, 8 major central banks, including the United States and key European nations, formed the London Gold Pool, a coordinated effort to keep gold prices artificially low and protect the dollar's link to gold. For years, they dumped gold into the market whenever prices rose, masking the fact that the world was printing far more money than it had gold to back. It worked, until it didn't. By 1968, demand for physical gold overwhelmed the pool. The system collapsed, and once the artificial pressure lifted, gold didn't just rise, it erupted, soaring from $35 to $850 an ounce in less than a decade. And now, more than half a century later, the same pattern is reappearing. The modern gold market is once again straining under the weight of its own illusions. Paper supply is bloated, physical reserves are thinning, arbitrage is accelerating, and trust, the fragile glue that holds fractional systems together, is evaporating. Attempts to plug the leaks may slow the unraveling, but they rarely stop it. And if history is any guide, the end game is not gentle. When gold systems break, they break violently. That brings us to the final chapter. What happens next, and what it means for you. So where does all of this lead? If history, data, and the behavior of nations tell us anything, it's this. The demand for physical gold is not slowing down. Countries are stimulating their economies again, debt levels are climbing, and central banks quietly but consistently are shifting their reserves away from paper assets and towards something older, heavier, and undeniably real. That means the structural forces pushing gold higher are still very much in motion. As the gap widens between physical and paper gold, investors around the world are beginning to rethink what their gold exposure actually represents. Do you own gold through an ETF or futures contract, something that may be backed by a fraction of what exists? Or do you own gold that you can actually hold, store, and verify? And that's why analysts expect the pressure on physical gold to continue. Gold mining companies may benefit as well, fueled by higher prices and rising demand. But the key now, more than ever, is diversification. No single asset, even gold, should carry the full weight of your financial future. Because as powerful as this gold story is, it's still just one chapter in a much bigger economic shift. We may be witnessing the early days of a new monetary era, one defined not by the dominance of a single currency, but by a global return to tangible value. A world where trust is earned not through politics or policy, but through the certainty of physical assets. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Do you think gold's rise is just getting started, or are we heading into a bubble? And more importantly, are you team physical gold or team paper gold? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one. And one more thing, nothing in this video is financial advice. Always do your own research and never invest more than you can afford to lose. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to subscribe. This channel is here to help you navigate the shifts shaping our financial future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.